Can you draw something that doesn't exist? Hi guys, girls, non-binds, welcome back to my channel. I am Leah Solmaz. Here is episode 6. I don't know why I'm doing that, but yeah, here is episode 6 of the How to Draw tutorial series, and finally I'm going to do an actual how to draw something. So in this episode, I'm going to show you how you can draw a dragon. So with dragons, it's a bit of a tricky one because no one actually knows what they look like. The dragon emblem or mythological creature kind of fills the ancient world from continent to continent. For the most part throughout the ancient world, they are described as winged serpents. That does give us something to kind of work from as modern day artists. So modern day dragons, like, you'll recognize them as these monstrous, like ferocious, winged reptilian looking creatures. We're going to use a couple of references. If you want to follow along, what you will need is a pencil and some paper, and let's get to it. So dragons, let's just write it down so we remember what we're drawing. I joke, I do joke, I'm not that bad. My memory is bad, but it's not that bad. Right, diving straight in, I'll flash a couple of reference shots across the screen. So first off, what I'd kind of take reference from for the head would be either like a crocodile, because they have that long snout with a lot of teeth and those kind of like dead looking eyes. For your typical dragon head shape, that they tend to be quite long. They always remind me of like a scaly looking wolf or something. Yeah, that's probably just me. The more recognizable dragon interpretations would be very reptilian / like dinosaur, so like with the T-Rex composites that we gathered from their bones because no one really knows what a T-Rex looks like. They can guess and things. So I'd take from those 3 references to draw the head. So let's scale this for the page. So we want the head to, do we want the head to face the camera maybe? That would be quite cool. So he's wrapping around something. So I'm just doing a basic curved triangular shape. And then for the body, I tend to find they resemble like the Komodo dragon, which is quite long. Not as skinny as like a snake or anything, although you could do a snake-like body. You can take references from whatever takes your fancy basically for a dragon until you come up with your own recognizable style of dragon, I guess. We're just doing a basic shape. I'm not really happy with the form of this. There's not much flow in it. So when I say flow, you know, if you have like a form that's very box-like, it doesn't look like there's much life to it. Whereas, so with a more curved form, I don't know, there just looks like there's more movement to it and thus looking more alive instead of just flat and boxy. Yeah, I quite actually like the Komodo's form. It's quite formidable, so there's quite a lot of muscle mass around here. And even in its legs, if you look at the Komodo dragon's legs, they're quite, he looks like he works out. And they do look quite slow, but if you watch them in like wildlife documentaries and things, they do move quite rapid. I wouldn't like to face one of those. For the bettermost part, for the wings, I would tend to take reference from like bat wings. They have like a defined edge. I might have to go to a new page. I mean, the wings are quite significant on dragons. Obviously, they have to be large enough to lift the body mass. I imagine dragons are huge. So yeah. So unlike bat wings, where their arms kind of merge into the wing itself, we're just going to take from the, I guess, the spines of it. If we add like a slight S shape to the wing, it kind of gives that nice flow again. With bat wings as well, you can actually see like the veins and things. So I mean, you could add that if you wanted to, you don't have to though. That's our basic dragon form. There's a lot of dead area there, so I think for the sake of this dragon, I'm going to give him some horns just to fill that up and just to give a bit more balance to the image. Go back to the head to add detail, taken from a crocodile. Let's just narrow this snout down. Croc's heads are very flat actually. His eyes will fall roughly there. They're quite wide set. Most, if not all, reptilian eyes. They're usually like on the sides of their heads, opposed to like humans where their eyes are at the front of the head. So they've got a better gauge of like their periphery in case of predators and things like that. I should do my David Attenborough voice. Yes, the crocodile has eyes on the sides of its head to gauge and I don't know. That was short-lived. It's almost like a horse's form actually, if you have a look at a horse. It's got quite wide temples. Temporal? I don't know. I do and I don't. Like it'll probably come to me like randomly when I'm at work or something. I'll be like, oh yeah, it's actually called this. But yeah, just the sides of the heads, it's quite wide, and then the eyes are quite wide. Let's have it slightly open, so he's like getting ready to blow a big plume of fire out of his mouth. So we're just going to fill in some teeth that look painful for his jaw to close actually. I think because he's got two horns on his head, the top of his head, I'm going to put a couple just on the bridge of his snout, his nose. Always trust the air process. There's always more you can do to bring out an image. There's also a lot that you can do to kind of hide the image as well, so just be careful how far you go with your drawings and things like that. Sharp claws there. This leg, it needs to move down just a tiny bit. Just a bit more harsh with the inner forms. And then the wing would fall just where his shoulder blade would be. So, I mean, that's like a rough version of a dragon. If you wanted to get a bit more detailed, you can go in and add tiny scales. Obviously, if you prefer drawing with pencil and paper, you can invest in an eraser to clean up your lines and things. I don't really like using erasers. I just like to see the journey of the picture. I'm very odd like that, I guess. But if you're going for a more refined look, by all means use an eraser. I'm going to do a bit more of a detailed dragon's head based on the T-Rex form. So I mean the eyes would fall roughly about here. So I always try and map out the eyes first on any and all kind of creatures and people. People are creatures. Bring his eyebrow bone, which falls into this very muscular looking snout. Now I know with reptiles and things, they open their mouths as though like they're going to hiss or growl and things, but I don't know if they'd actually have muscles there. Because that reminds me of a dog, where it would like scrunch up the skin of its nose when it's about to growl or something. So I'm not sure if they had. I mean, no one knows really, do we? Yeah, I totally could do with a bigger sketchbook. I might try and invest in one for the next videos. Just follow the path of the pencil, I guess. Now I'm going to go off reference. So I just kind of got the T-Rex head shape. I think he needs a slimmer snout. So I'm still going to follow some of the form of this T-Rex. And for the nostrils, I tend to kind of follow like a snake's nostrils, like half circles, form the scales on the nostril. For the teeth, I mean, you can put as many teeth as you want in, and then just bringing in a little bit of his neck there, where his head and his neck meet. And what I'm going to do here is just kind of flatten that off. Yeah, I like dragons with horns. I don't know why. I just always imagine dragons have like these horns, but probably serve no use whatsoever other than like just to look menacing and ferocious. I did actually I do so many random things on this channel, but I think it was sometime last year I started doing like music pieces. So what I was doing was doing like art pieces and then composing music to kind of accompany them. So I'll drop a link to that. Yeah, he's looking quite menacing, I guess. To add more detail, because I don't think I've actually gone into adding as much detail in these videos, we'll just go through some basic like shading techniques that I tend to use. With this particular drawing, I'm going to imagine the point of light is coming from that side. So anything right of that point of light would be a lot darker than on the left side of his form, I guess. We're going to put some cross-hatching on the right side of each horn. So cross-hatching are lines that go one way and then lines over those that go another way. And it just gives this crisscross effect. Growing up, I used to look at works from Da Vinci, and I noticed in his sketches he used a lot of cross-hatching, and I don't know, it just helps to bring out the form of a piece. It just makes it look a bit more 3D, but you can see the line, so it's not like overly realistic, I guess. In some of the older comics and things, they use a lot of cross-hatching to define shadows. A little bit of cross-hatching here. And I think we should kind of go in and give this some time and add a lot of scales. So this portion of the video, I shall do a time lapse. Basically, I'll just explain what I'm doing. So with scales, years ago, I would have just kind of done like U shapes and just kind of overlap them to give like an effect of scales. And I mean, it still looks effective, but the older I've gotten, what I tend to do is just kind of odd shapes like that. If you do larger ones, just like in a stripe, I guess, just to define like the various shapes to the skull and things. And then obviously on his body he would have like larger scales. It looks quite effective on the camera, all of the different scales. and it just shows that if you do spend a lot more time putting in detail into things, better your pictures will look. So for the eyes, yeah, I tend to find they look more effective when they're like not scaly, but like, I guess wrinkled skin is the best way to put it. So tempted to go back in with a black just to define some of those features. Yeah, I think I'm going to just sign that off, and I'm quite happy with that. So with all sketches, like, you can go back and refine it even more. So I mean, if you wanted to, you could add like colour. This is a grey pencil, so it's not really colour. But you could kind of bring out like the scales even more with different colours and shades of colour. Yeah, I think that's it for a rough sketch of a dragon. So yeah, for me personally, I tend to kind of take references from different reptiles and T-Rex for the head. For the body, like I said, I tend to take reference from Komodo dragons, but you can take reference from anything. It's just that case of merging all of the different body parts together to see what you come up with. Definitely for me though, for I think most, if not all of the dragons that I've seen, like art-wise, the wings tend to be taken from a bat if you observe them carefully. And yeah, that's it. Do have fun drawing dragons. Like I said, they are mythological creatures, so no one knows what they look like, so any interpretation you come up with is right. If you found that helpful, do subscribe, guys, girls, non-binds, any dragon-loving folk out there. I do time-lapse drawing videos on Tuesdays, and yeah, subscribe for more. Stay awesome, stay classy, be kind, and bye. Oh my god, that's so lame. The dragon, look to this camera. Bit of a, does that make sense? Who knows? So with dragons, it's a bit of a, there are so many different interpretations. This would be like the shine. Now that kind of is my, yeah, I'll just dive straight into the tutorial. If you want to follow along, if you want to follow, right, and camera 2 is set up.